Hello, everybody. I'm so glad that you have joined us today. We are in for a special treat. We have with us today Corina Sadler, who is the Volunteer Resources Supervisor with the Volunteers in Plano. Hi, Corina. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, this is awesome to be here talking about one of my favorite topics, which would be engaging college students in volunteerism.
Yes, so will you tell us a little bit about what you do as far as your position as supervisor with the Volunteers in Plano?
Yeah, so I am a department of the city of Plano. So we are a municipal government entity, and I've been with Plano for the last 12 years. I supervise the volunteer program, which means that we engage with the different city departments to recruit and screen, place, and coordinate volunteers doing different things from the police department to the library system to recreation centers, emergency management, administrative offices, environmental education. So we have about 10,000 volunteers a year during a typical non-pandemic year of all ages, all backgrounds, and abilities.
Wow, that is incredible. I did not realize just how much you guys had. 10,000, that's absolutely astounding. That is so incredible. So let's get into what we're going to be talking about today. And that's really going to be, let's start out just by talking about like the exposure and what you're exposed to whenever you are serving in these nonprofits. So in our conversation, we have talked that whenever you personally served, you were exposed to project management, program management, community engagement, working with diverse populations, working with underserved communities, and as well as knowing just how important relationship building is. Do you want to talk into this a little bit?
Yeah, so sometimes when I am interviewing college students who are interested in volunteerism for a number of different reasons, I try to understand what their end goal is, but sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So you're not quite sure what is missing from your skill sets or your knowledge, or what would be an extra thing that would be beneficial for your resume or for your career path. So being able to learn little snippets of these different topics like project management and community engagement just gives you a behind the scenes look to where you get a better understanding with some hands-on experience. But then you kind of go with your instincts on, is that for you? Should you explore that more? Should you take a class on something like that? Pursue a certificate or a minor? These experiences that you might not have in some other settings. There's so much happening with nonprofits. They are very mission driven, but they have stakeholders, they have grant funders, they have so many people that are looking and asking questions, the community. So there's so many moving parts, but they are professional organizations. They have a commitment to excellence typically, and to be a part of a team like that, even for a semester or over the summer, is a really great opportunity.
That's incredible. As far as like a college student, if I'm a college student and I'm looking at serving in a nonprofit, but I'm not exactly sure how to go about that, do you have any easy steps for a college student to get involved and engaged in these nonprofits?
So I think we're going to talk a little bit about networking, but sometimes you have to know someone who knows someone that has an in with an organization, especially if it's a larger organization. So we'll talk a little bit more about networking and how you can use that. But doing your research, going online, and finding out what organizations are near you or near where you're going to be during that semester, and then finding one that interests you, that there's some connection to their mission, that you feel that you can bring your skills, because college students are packed with skills and abilities. Even if your resume is not long yet, you have so much experience already, just just being you, who you are, and your excitement and interest in serving others, whatever that looks like. So doing research, going to their websites, finding out information about them, and trying to determine who is the person that could give me an opportunity to serve with this organization. They might have a volunteer manager like me who would get your email, and the more details you put in there, the more that you speak to the mission of the organization and say why the work that they're doing speaks to you, or you have a connection, or you have skills that you think they could value or they might need. On the other end, as a volunteer manager, I would read that and be pretty impressed that that student took the time to watch our videos on Facebook or check out our website tab and really speak to what's happening at our organization.
Absolutely. Those are such great and practical ways. Thank you for sharing that, which really leads into the networking, which is so important and vital. And networking is so incredible. And I absolutely loved what you have said, because you said that networking is more than just connecting on LinkedIn. And as a college student, that's really pushed here at SWOSU is networking and having a strong LinkedIn presence. But then you went on to say it's about creating connections with people as a professional and maintaining those connections so you can leverage them when needed and hopefully provide equal benefits to the other person someday. And that is so incredible to really think about, because it is hopefully a beneficial relationship between not only that college student, but also the person who they are networking with. But volunteering is such a powerful way, as you have said, to build a professional network and build trust. So do you have any easy ways or any advice on networking for college students?
Definitely. So again, if your resume is not that long, if your LinkedIn profile doesn't have a lot there yet, volunteering and capturing the work that you're doing is really important. There's so much content that you can create around service, around what you're doing, what you're learning. So things that you were noticing, the behind the scenes opportunities that you received while volunteering and what that meant to you, or how that maybe changed your perception. I've seen some students that do, the top 3 things I learned last week while volunteering, or 5 myths that I debunked during my summer internship. So, those are very like LinkedIn specific type of posts, but when you're meeting people, it's important to remember the people who have welcomed you to their organizations, especially if you become a fan of that work or that mission. And I think, on LinkedIn, I have a lot of people that I'm a fan of their work, and they might be not in my sector, my industry, but I love what they do. I think it's so cool. So I'm going to interact with their content on there. I'm going to take a minute to read what they posted. I'm going to make a thoughtful comment and give them feedback. And I think people really respond, of course, to positive feedback. So if you're following people on LinkedIn or other social networking platforms, and you're like, gosh, I would love to have that job. This person has a cool job. I would love to do that. Or at their organization, or maybe it's in the nonprofit world and you just want to provide support, and that's something that's personally passionate for you. Interacting with that content, giving feedback, replying to people, telling an article, someone who wrote an article, that really impacted me. Your article's helping me with this class. I learned something. I mean, it opens up dialogue, and that builds those new relationships and helps initiate some trust with your new networks that you build. And if you stay in touch, and if you share your unique perspectives, what you're learning along the way, an image that people might scroll and stop on your post to see what you have to say. I mean, that's building kind of your own brand of what you're looking for as you start your careers and who you want to network with. And you don't have to connect with everyone on LinkedIn. There's some people on there that are looking for sales and things like that. So being selective with your network, I think, is important. But believing in yourself and your perspectives is important because you do have something to say. I think students have great feedback to give to organizations. And if you frame it in the right way, if you have new ideas, I think the right staff member is open to working with students and achieving new things and piloting programs. But networking can definitely get you noticed and help to start building some of those resume items that you're looking for. And if you're thinking, I don't have any recommendations yet on my LinkedIn or references for my resume, volunteering can definitely get you those things.
Wow, thank you so much. There's so many valuable things in all of that that you just said. So we've had these steps, we've done our research, now we're networking and have kind of a foot in the door, which kind of leads into the different parts and the different segments of the nonprofit. And something that I think many of us don't realize, and through different conversations that I've had with different business professionals, especially in the nonprofit sector, is that there are many different careers in the nonprofit sector. You have like your technology, your marketing, your volunteer management, your legal and counseling, and social work, and the list goes on. So do you want to speak on that a little bit for us?
Sure. So within the nonprofit sector, yes, there are so many different careers. If you think of who runs these campaigns, from American Red Cross, the Salvation Army, United Way, Susan G. Komen. I mean, there's so many of, the larger nonprofits that there cannot be just a couple of people running these national things, especially nonprofits that have chapters all over the world or all over the US. Looking at technology careers, PR, marketing for sure. And with nonprofits, I think there's a lot to be said for being able to be creative, being able to really build something personal that you came up with. Because a lot of the leadership, I feel like, would love just to have people take ownership of things and just start getting things done, because that's what nonprofits do. They do the work. They have their mission. They would love for their missions to be gone, right? For there to be no more hungry people to feed, for there to be no need for domestic violence shelters, for no need for those kind of things. But the need exists, so they will continue to work. And then, yeah, caseworkers, social workers. I mean, there's so much for frontline people. And this year, our frontline nonprofits who never shut down, they never got to send their staff to work from home. They continued. There's a lot of very smart, very talented people behind all those organizations that kept the food coming, the healthcare going, all of these really important infrastructure type organizations that our communities rely on. And those are professional positions, and those are positions that really have an impact.
Absolutely. And I just want to take a moment for anyone who will be watching this and you are a frontline worker, I wanted to say thank you for the service that you are doing, and you're making a difference, and we so appreciate you. Kind of changing gears a little bit, for most of this webinar, it's been focused on college students and getting college students involved and kind of the benefits that college students receive. But looking at it through a different lens, what about like the organizational benefits and what the students can bring to the organization? And you've said that students bring new implementation techniques, new stories and fresh voices, and just really a unique perspective. And you've really hit on it a few times of students' unique life experiences and education bring so much to the table. And so remembering that as a college student, what we have is valuable. So do you have any advice or just anything that you want to say on this?
For sure. So I think there are tactful ways to give advice to organizations who might be, I don't know, running their Instagram wrong, or they have a Twitter that they don't really need, or or their community meetings are boring. I mean, there's things that are happening because they've kind of always happened that way, that sometimes it does take our next generation to come in and have a look around and give feedback, but it takes practice to be able to tell someone at an organization that you have an idea. But I wouldn't discourage it. I think we need to hear comments, we need feedback, we need new voices in the sector. And again, even if it's an internship and you're thinking, I'm going to be a business major, but I really would love to support my local food pantry over the summer. And that's going to help me and kind of get your goals aligned with what you wanted to learn. And it is okay to stop in the process if you're not thinking you're on track to learn your goals and meet the right people, to whoever is coordinating your internship or your volunteering, to ask for an opportunity to sit in on the board meeting, to have a Zoom with the CEO, that you were looking for some specific information that was going to help you, and then maybe offer, and always come prepared to offer something back. Say, I noticed XYZ, positive and negative, put them together, but give feedback and let them know that you are aware of what's going on and that you have thoughts and opinions as well, and that you are gaining, from the organization. So always make sure that you are coming into a meeting with any type of organization with something else to bring back. But again, it takes practice, it takes tact and knowing that right moment. But students in the workplace is ideal. And if you have opportunities for paid internships, those are wonderful. There's AmeriCorps programs as well that a lot of students participate in. Unpaid internships or volunteering, wanting to be sure that the organization is not taking advantage of you, but is providing you with a great experience and is reaching your goals. Not every organization, just because they're a nonprofit, means that they're a great organization. So you definitely have to be self-aware of what's happening and to advocate for yourself too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I absolutely because I love the part of coming prepared whenever you are wanting to make those recommendations. And as a college student, and we've talked about it before, of really being confident and bold in what you bring to the table, but knowing what you bring to the table, especially if you are pitching a new idea or you are talking with a senior level executive, that you need to come prepared and really know and be confident in what you are preparing. But when you do prepare it, don't think less of yourself almost just because you are a student in that field. And so I absolutely love that. Is there anything else that you have just to recommend, any advice for college students before we wrap up?
Yeah, I know that it can be challenging to secure a volunteer position, especially during this year, the craziest of all years.
Mhm.
But, when I interview college students, I'm asking them questions about their interest, what is their motivation for wanting to serve, and if it's a requirement, like, that's okay. I don't look down at needing to do 30 hours for a class. Like, I want you to have a great experience for your 30 hours and to learn something. But there might be interview processes that you have to go through, or a background check, or something like that. And you might think, this is a nonprofit. Why are they putting me through all these things? But again, you have to treat them as a professional organization, that they have things that they need to be safeguarded from as well, but not to let it discourage you. It is great experience looking ahead at the careers that you're going to be applying for. Any chance to interview with someone is a great just chance to have that practice. And then going through these application processes and screenings is just really good to get you more comfortable with these processes that you'll go through in the future, and being able to interact with other people and build that network and show them who you are and why they should pick you.
Absolutely. I love that. And that wasn't really something I had ever considered, was the kind of the interview and the application. I, of course, realize that you are interacting with people and going back to you're interacting with diverse populations. And I love that because there's so much value in working with different kinds of people and such knowledge that can be learned and gathered from that. So I absolutely love that. Thank you so much for joining us today. I have absolutely loved getting to talk with you and hear just what you have to say about this. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Bye.